What's going on, everybody? This is...
I'm Bryson. I'm Bryson. I'm Bryson.
I'm Bryson Teal, and this is the weekly segment, Top Picks, where I go through new releases, new finds to keep you in the know and hopefully introduce you to some new music. This is the video for last Friday, October 6th, 2017. First up is the sensation of Poppy. Poppy has just released her debut album entitled poppy.computer, and Poppy is an alternative pop artist known for being an internet phenomenon, Illuminati affiliate, and a real strange customer. Working with the equally out Titanic Sinclair, yes, like the ship, they create these consistent creepy videos on YouTube, which kind of brought Poppy to fame. You know, you'll have to check them out to understand, but again, like the video where she just keeps saying, "I'm Poppy. I'm Poppy. I'm Poppy." But all of these videos are kind of woven together with these concepts critiquing and satiring the internet stars, dating online and in apps, and social relations via things like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and YouTube. And a lot of this stuff finds its way inside her music and in this album, poppy.computer. Now, to give a little bit more background, Poppy's persona is kind of this subhuman, robotic caricature of the ideal pop star. And if you find interviews with her, there's kind of varying degrees of this persona that pops through. There's some interviews on the internet where she's totally normal. She's just the regular person that she is. Some she's full-on subhuman robot responding to people's questions in the strangest ways. And then there's like a mid-level where she's acting normal, but she's still referring to herself in the third person. And then there's another level to it where she refers to everyone that helps her as they, you know, the people that kind of control the persona of a pop star in our music world. And there's things where she tries to keep her age a secret, you know, again, maybe to play on the fact that she's a robot, or possibly because she doesn't want age to affect how people view her character and her music. But spoiler alert, I'm pretty sure she's my age. Now, bringing this all together in the music, you know, we have a really poppy album in the alternative pop genre. But what we're getting is all these weird things infused behind the lyrics. You know, even when it's more streamlined, just like, this is stereotypical pop, there's that underlying message underneath it, satiring the whole shebang. You know, songs like Computer Boy, or really all of the songs. And there might be a couple songs that are just about pushing her persona out rather than just critiquing everything. But then there's a track, you know, where she's talking about waking up and making videos every day, which is a huge part of her persona. But again, it's probably also critiquing, you know, the YouTube vlogger where their lives are completely enveloped in the pressure of creating these videos in order to give people content. But to be honest, even with what this record is, I like a lot of the production on here. I think the songs are really catchy and they serve their purpose. You know, even though when she throws all these on YouTube so you can view them together as an album, they all have a background of a spiraling, hypnotizing image, just playing further on this whole brainwashing idea of repetition. You know, again, coming back to her video where she says, "I'm Poppy, I'm Poppy, I'm Poppy," you know, gaining credibility and notoriety in the internet realm from repetition. So the thing that I love the most is that with these themes, the character, it's all very cohesive, and when it comes together in the album, you can break apart and understand that this is the persona that we've been getting through the YouTube videos. But songs I really enjoy in here are I'm Poppy, Computer Boy, Interweb, Software Upgrade, and Pop Music. And just to end on one note with the song Pop Music, it's the one song in the album, it's the last track, where we kind of get an actual commentary from the real person who is Poppy. Taking all of these ideas of being a pop star and why it's good, why it's bad, and critiquing the internet and all that stuff. People hate it, and that's kind of like almost the point, but you love it, you know, following where the money goes, but still saying that she enjoys it. It's something that probably brings her a lot of joy, and maybe just turned out to be something she didn't expect it to be, and she probably in the first place didn't expect this whole thing to blow up like it did. Try and give this a listen. It's something interesting. It's different than probably anything you listen to on a regular basis, including myself, but I enjoyed some of the songs. I enjoy the sentiment of the whole thing, and I think Poppy in the future, whether she stays in this persona or breaks up to whatever herself is, could be something that's really cool, and I'm hopeful. A big project that came out this week for hip-hop and electronic fans, especially in the production area, is Samiyam's new album, Pizza Party. This is the follow-up to his last record from 2016, Animals Have Feelings. Sam Baker, or Samiyam, is an electronic and hip-hop based producer signed to Stone's Throw Records, which is a perfect fit for him, but has also been signed to some of my favorite record labels, originally on the Hyperdub label, such as Laurel Halo, as well as the Brainfeeder label. With the coming of this new album, I was kind of hoping we'd get more collaborations with artists such as Earl Sweatshirt, like the one they did on Earl's album Doris with the song 20 Wave Caps, or even with artists such as Action Bronson. But what we got is one of his instrumental-only records, which is not surprising. While I was hopeful, still grateful that we have another project by Samiyam coming out, because he's an amazing producer. He has his own individual sound that characterizes him as different, but he's been putting out hard tracks since his first EP with Hyperdub back in 2008. However, we do have a collaboration on this last track, What Can I Do?, that features rapper and producer John Wayne, who is also on the Stones Throw record label. Again, I was hoping John Wayne would be rapping on this, but I still greatly appreciate that we have this collaboration because John Wayne is also a phenomenal, nasty producer and rapper. He's really uncharacteristic of what you might think he would be, but he's just kind of this big white dude, kind of like lumberjackish, that just knows how to throw down on an MPC. Highly suggest checking this out. I personally love the last 3 tracks: Seattle, Shouts Out, Rough, and What Can I Do?, the one featuring John Wayne. So give it a listen. Pretty dope. Another quick one I want to talk about is August Burns Red's new album, Phantom Anthem. August Burns Red is a metalcore quintet hailing from the Amish land of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Other bands coming from the same area in the same genre are Texas in July and This or the Apocalypse. And with these types of bands coming out of this same area, August Burns Red has been the forefront of the 3 and has also been a forefront of the metalcore genre in general since their start in 2003. The reason why I want to talk about them is that these guys have created and maintained a sound and developed it over time without just oversaturating us with the same thing every time like the rest of the metal genre is doing. And again, not the whole genre, but a lot of stuff is just the same thing after same thing after same thing until it just gets boring. I like to equate certain parts of the metal genre to trap music. It achieves the same thing. It's just music that's made to create a vibe. People see all these artists popping using the exact same sounds and they're like, oh, I want to do that. Then they pump out a SoundCloud track with a really cheap production using the same snare drums and drums as everybody else. And I get it. I understand why people want to be famous, have fun performing this genre. Not always a lot of context to the music, but they're honestly the best phrase to use: bangers. But again, back to the subject at hand. August Burns Red is still putting out great music. Keeping in mind, this is still the metal genre. If it's not something you're into, it'll be hard for you to find it accessible. But with the guys that are in this band, they're like the poster child for showing it to your grandma, and she's like, oh, this is the devil music. And then she sees them in person and wishes that you were more like them. But one of my favorite things that's happening with this music is that they still fall into that very processed-ish sound that is characterized by metal, but it has this more natural and organic feel to it. Some of the tracks they weave in cello that's really dry sounding. They don't really put it through any reverb. It's close mic'd, and it fits in so well with the actual mixing of the guitars and the bass. One of the songs that made me really want to talk about this album is The Frost. Already in the beginning of The Frost, I hear, maybe something that might start a typical August Burns Red song, but then it hits you with a little tambourine, little shaker, and I'm just like, okay, all right, this is different, thank God. And then when they add in the new lead and the guitar and the drums and the rest of the band, it works really well. They have this great cacophony, and their harmonic structures are awesome for what they're doing. Even if you're not into metal music, give this a listen. Check it out, see what's happening in the genre, where we're getting things other than just 1001001 binary code on the lowest string of their guitar. And that's not even a hate on gent music. It's just the fact that some people literally only use the bottom string. But enough hating. Check out this album, see what you think. Another quick one I wanted to talk about is Kaitlyn Aurelia Smith's new album, The Kid. Kaitlyn is a composer, Berklee graduate, and modular synthesis queen that currently resides in LA. Originally from Orcas Island in Washington State, she went to Berklee College of Music, and when she came back to Orcas Island post her education, she was helping a neighbor set up his studio and happened upon, I think it was a Buchla, a synthesizer, and it just kind of spurred this love for modular synthesis that she used in conjunction with her composition skills. And over time, we now have her discography as a Terry Riley-influenced queen of synthesis. With Terry Riley in mind, a lot of this album and her past music is a little bit drony, taking advantage of all the voices and effects you can get out of a modular synthesizer. Some people might refer it to as the bleepy bloopy type music, which you could in a sense. But on this record, it's a little more accessible than her past ones. She does sing as well, and it reminds me a lot of this artist, Laurel Halo. Maybe it's a little bit better singing, a little less dry. But she's great and knows how to bring all these elements together. And if you're just trying to listen to something maybe more accessible, check out the track In Intention, as well as the track A Kid. These are the ones that drew me in most to the record and got me listening through the whole thing. You know, already having appreciation for modular synthesis, I was a little more open to listening to the whole thing, so maybe you'll only want to listen to these 2 tracks. It's not the whole album that's just drony or anything. It just might seem that way to you if it's not a kind of style you're used to. But definitely check this out. You know, she has some live performance stuff up on YouTube. Really interesting. She's fantastic. She's done some videos with Moog, so give it a listen. Next up, we have the new 6-track Ian Chang EP, Spiritual Leader. Ian Chang is a Hong Kong native and a drummer really making a name for himself in the area of electronic music performance. Ian triggers samples and effects live with his drum set in the studio and in performance. Some of his material is really groove-focused tracks, as well as some ambient drony ones as well. And it makes the ambient ones just a little bit more interesting because he's still triggering them live with his drum kit. Ian Chang is also affiliated and is the drummer for the band Sonlux, which also features Rafik Bhatia, a producer and guitarist. Definitely check out his project, the Strata EP. There's also the creator of the group, as it used to be an individual project of his, Ryan Lott. He has work in his project Sonlux, as well as having a background in ad music, as well as film music. You might know some of the films he's worked on, such as Paper Towns, the adaptation of the famous book that features Cara Delevingne and Naked Brother band member and killer of the Death Note series. Not single-handedly, but part of it, Nat Wolff. But Sonlux has some great albums, such as Bones. But back on track with this EP here with Ian Chang. Some of my favorite tracks on this record are Romeo, the title track Spiritual Leader, as well as ASMR. And I think it's cool that he included this track ASMR, which stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response, because it's playing on this big internet phenomenon that's happening on YouTube mainly. But people such as Holly Herndon have also taken advantage of this concept. And what it is that certain sounds and situational experiences done through binaural audio can trigger tingling sensations in your neck, maybe the type of way you would feel after getting the chills from hearing a really great song. But if you want to know more about that stuff, you should definitely check out my favorite ASM artists, such as Goodnight Moon ASMR, as well as GB ASMR. But I digress. On this track ASMR, he includes what sounds like really tight muted guitar strings in a really high register, just run through some Sound Toys plugins, which all these members of Sonlux are known for using. But all in all, this is a great little EP. I would definitely recommend seeing if he's doing any live gigs near you, because that's probably the best way to experience this album. I'll link a video in the description of him performing one of these songs in the studios, but there's also videos of him performing live on stage as well, just so you can kind of get the feel for what it's like in that setting. But anyways, these are some of my favorite projects this past week and as of late. Let me know in the comments about some music you really enjoyed that came out this past week, so I can learn about some new stuff as well. Be back out here next Tuesday. See you around. Obla!